Welcome to our
Welcome.
conversation about Melanin Magic. I'm here with lovely Lauren and Yolanda Stevenson as we talk about,
Hello.
all that magic that we're born with that we
Yeah.
often don't recognize.
Yes.
Mm. And so we're going to have a conversation with Coach Yolanda. She's a coach. She's a spiritual woman. She's a wise woman. She's all the things. And so we're so glad to have her on today with CFP as we really expose. We talk about what melanin magic is, how to do it. We're even going to end with some healing to allow and receive more and more of what our magic provides for us. Yolanda, she's a health and wellness coach, a certified hypnotherapist, and licensed massage therapist. Yolanda is on a mission to help people reconnect with their bodies and roots using natural remedies and holistic healing. Welcome, welcome, Yolanda.
Welcome. Welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be here and share this sacred space with you both.
We are so excited to dive into today's conversation, and we're just really honored to have you be here. So, thank you.
So let's jump right in, Yolanda. Can you
Mhm.
explain for our listeners what exactly is melanin and why is it important for Black people, melanated people, especially when it comes to our health and maybe more importantly, our well being?
Well, we'll get into the scientific aspect of melanin. But what I would say is that melanin is more than just um, melanin is much more than what gives our skin that beautiful, rich color, right? Just as you go out and see the earth, the minerals that's in that earth that allows the um, plants and seeds to grow and give life are the same thing that runs within our blood naturally. It's a powerhouse in our bodies. It plays a crucial role in protecting us from harmful UV rays. It regulates our body temperature, and it even affects our cognitive and emotional health. For Black people, melanin is a gift. That's how I see it. It's connected to our resilience, our inner strength, and it's even our spiritual vitality, because that's connected also to the pineal gland, right, which is our opening. That's another conversation for a different day, but it's all in connection that gives us our connection to the Most High, our connection to self. And also gives us a special ability to tap in because as I was gave the analogy of the earth, and what flows in the earth and the nutrients and vitamins it gives, it also flows in us. So that means we are naturally, innately connected, the universe, the Mother Earth, to God. And so when melanin is in balance, it can help us feel more connected to ourselves, to our purpose. It boosts our brain function, it gives us strength, and it's a part of what makes us truly unique and powerful. That's what embracing and nurturing our melanin rich bodies is essential. And our melanin isn't just skin deep, my ladies. It's a deep connection to who we are and the healing power of what we carry within. And also, it's stimulated by certain foods that we eat, certain thoughts that we think, and certain emotions that we feel that gives it power.
Wow, I love that. When you talk about the herbs and the foods that contribute to our melanin magic, what types of foods help us tap into our body's natural ability to heal?
We have foods like, for instance, like your basils, um, like cinnamon, for instance. All of those have uh, nutritional value in that, like cloves, right? You have herbs like quinoa. That's an ancient grain that people who melanin that can actually digest, right? Um, goes it goes all the way back to Egypt, right? There's a lot of other different types of foods and herbs. Your garlics is a natural anesthesia. It helps to cleanse our body from dis-ease. right? Or any bacteria that may be in our body. It helps to naturally kill that off. And, peppermint, oregano, just a lot of different simple herbs that half of us have in our own kitchen that we use for flavoring our food, but then they're also used for healing, such as our grandmothers and great grandmothers knew before. I won't say, the medical uh, world, right? But some of them innately knew how to go out onto their land and pick herbs. And you would think it'd be tree barks and grass and all of that, but they did all of that as a part of their healing for us. And we'll get into that a little later as we go on.
Yes, ma'am.
Well,
I'm
you
really
know what?
glad
Since you
you
had talked about herbs, let me speak about, well, go ahead. Go ahead,
You know,
Gigi.
you had listed a number of really great herbs, and I noticed when I had this, I'll call it a scare with diabetes. My family, it just runs all over the place, and I really didn't want to be on medication. And so some of my good sister friends, nurses, said, "Hey, you need to start taking Ceylon cinnamon, Seylon cinnamon, not regular
Ceylon,
cinnamon, although
yes.
that works too. But man,
Ceylon.
I still don't
Hmm.
take medication. My blood sugar is good. But you're right. So many of these things, you talked about
Hmm.
oregano, cinnamon, a lot of these things we have in our kitchen cabinets.
That's what I
Yes.
mean. That's what I'm saying.
And I
Yes,
love
absolutely.
everything that you mentioned. I was like, got it, use it, love it, especially the garlic,
Hmm.
cinnamon. I use for a number of different things, including making my candles and all of that.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I also love peppermint. So, like, do you think
Hmm.
incorporating these things into teas, if you're not much of
Hmm.
a cooker, is another way of getting those things, or supplements like Gigi mentioned?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Because like peppermint and eucalyptus, which you can find like walking in a park, you can pick it right there out anywhere in Sacramento. You can go to different parks and just walk around and look at certain bushes, and you'll see eucalyptus leaves that you can pick off
I
of
didn't.
those trees. Put them in a nice little satchel, take them home, rinse them off, and then you can boil them. So if you have respiratory issues, asthma, um, those types of things that impacts your respiratory, you can use that eucalyptus as a steam. It'll open up all of this. You have sinus problems. It opens up your whole, and it helps to heal the respiratory. Right? You can take the eucalyptus tinctures, and then you can put it on a piece of cloth or just a napkin, right? And then you can inhale it, and it'll open up all of this, and just, kind of like Vicks does. But eucalyptus does the same thing, and it's a natural herb that doesn't have all the other additives like Vicks, but it's natural, right?
Wow.
And then as well as the peppermint. You can go and get fresh peppermint. You can boil it and make it a tea. It also helps with healing of the respiratory. You can make a poultice on that and then put it on your back where your lungs is, and it'll go and deep into your skin and helps to open up that lung area to help it breathe. So all of these things is so many different ways you can use it for our healing. And because of our melanin rich skin, it helps also to keep us in alignment. Because I know a lot of folks talk about vitamins and things of that nature, but we're not just vitamin rich people, we're also mineral rich people. And a lot of us also are mineral deficient, and then we think of it as being something else, and then that's when dis-ease can come in, not because of just eating definitely plays a factor, but you can be eating the healthiest things, but also we are all interconnected with mind, body, soul, and spiritual connection. So you can ingest physically great foods, but if mentally
Mm,
and emotionally you are toxic,
Mhm.
everything that comes in can also be reversed. based on the toxicity and your mental mindset. So it's not just one thing that brings healing. We have to be able to hit all of those facets because we are all of those things. So just going on that singular way of looking at healing, oh, okay, I just got to make sure I eat good. I eat good. I eat good. That's great. And it's a wonderful start. And it is a part of cellular healing. However, emotional, mental also creates enzymes within our bodies that can also destroy the physical nutritions that we put in our bodies.
Oh, wow.
So when we look at healing, it has to be holistic. It has to be not just one way, but all different facets of who we are as a people. Because we're not just physical, right? We're emotional, we're spiritual, we're mental, right? We're all encompassed of that. And that's just one of the many elements of what goes on inside of us, as well as having the five elements in us: the wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. All of that is connected to every organ in our bodies. Okay. And we have 12 major organs that's in our bodies. And each one of those are connected to an emotion, it's connected to a sound, it's connected to an element. And so when I talk about melanin as being interconnected, just like the earth is in that, all of that resides within us. And as long as we remember who we are and know that we're more than just that one facet and start tapping into all of the power that we have, baby, you think we bad now? What you talking about?
Okay. Okay. We
Yes.
I like that.
So,
You've got me, you got me sold, Yolanda. You like
Yeah, I had so many thoughts going through. I'm like, let's go forage and frolic for the
yes.
herbs and minerals, and then and like take it back
Yes.
to our roots. We really do. We our ancestors, like we've forgotten what our ancestors taught us.
Mhm.
And it's definitely time to get back to our roots so that we can power up,
And power up,
to
you
power
know,
up.
like for instance, so as since we got on cinnamon, okay. So some of the nutritional value to cinnamon is rich in antioxidants. It has anti-inflammatory properties. It's also a blood sugar regulation, so it's great for people who have diabetes, right? It also has heart health. So people who have heart conditions, it can be able to help and strengthen that brain function and neural prospective properties in there. So it helps with the brain and the function because as you do that, it creates oxygen. The brain function in your body and your cells needs oxygen, right? Which is why a lot of people talk about having your pH, a high pH, because pH creates oxygen versus acid decreases and takes away oxygen. So when you eat a lot of acid type foods like heavy meats, lots of white sugar, those type of things, flour, anything that is like white, then it depletes the oxygen in your body. So then your cells is not getting what it needs. So then that's where the deficiencies start coming in and the dis-ease happens, right?
Yeah.
So it's also good for the digestion health and it's an antibacterial and antifungal properties. So you can even use it for a wound. If you get a wound, you can take cinnamon with honey, put it in a poultice and that, and put it over the wound, and things can heal. So there's different ways that you can utilize cinnamon versus just ingesting it. Is so many other things that you can do with it that can heal the body on so many different levels. Um, but when we talk about the element, right? So I'm gonna tie it all together when I was saying mind, body, and spirit. Cinnamon, the element to that is fire, right? Okay, because once you, as you, if you, when you take cinnamon, it heats the body.
Yeah.
If you ever notice, and when you drink it, it gives you this warm feeling all over when you drink cinnamon tea. So that's the element it connects to. Now, the organ that's connected to fire is the heart and the small intestines. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So, with that being stated, if you, and the emotion that's tied to the heart, there's a lot. But the negative emotions that is tied to the heart are your, if you're overly excited, anxiety, if you have hastiness, when you get angry, bitterness, arrogance, impatience, and cruelty. Now, as you start to regulate that with sound, because as you know, our voice is the greatest instrument in all instruments. Our voice can make octaves that instruments can't even follow. And our voice creates vibration. We
Yeah.
are vibratory. When we say energy, we are vibration, right? And so vibration creates healing because it creates resonance in the body. You notice, like, if you are listening to a particular song and it got a nice rhythm to it, and all of a sudden your whole body, you could be mad as all crazy. And that one song come on, and you be like, oh yeah. And the whole room just kind of vibe with it because that's vibration. And especially people of melanin, rhythm is a part of our whole walk, our talk, our vibe, our whole energy is just rhythmic, right? And so with that being stated, when you are on a certain vibration, as they call it, you can also invoke healing within your body through sound. And so the sound that's connected to the heart, the color is red, right? And the sound is ha, right? So, an example of that, to be able to put that in balance and to create your voice, your tune, right? To help healing in your body with vibrations that you create, is it can help reverse those things that I talked about. And then it can create positive emotions like love, happiness, compassion, truth, beauty, joy, light, honor, sincerity, creativity, radiance, spirit, and enthusiasm. And using that ha sound, it regulates your heart function. So if you're having heart issues, you can use this sound daily, and there's movement to it as well. As well, it calms your mind, it dispels anxiety, and it promotes blood circulation. So what that would look like is, if you guys take a minute and you're gonna breathe in, and when you exhale, you're gonna exhale that sound ha. And I'm gonna show you what that looks like, and then you repeat. Y'all ready for that?
Yes.
Okay. So then you breathe in through your nose and exhale. Ah. You notice the vibration?
Yeah.
Now let's try it together. Breathe in.
Uh,
Ah. Did you
yeah.
feel how your body started to vibrate?
I did.
Yeah. And relax.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when you do that vibration and that sound, it's caressing and moving the heart. So the heart is kind of doing this. You don't need one of them paddles to bring you back. Your voice can stimulate that same thing to reverse that hurt, to reverse that grief, to reverse those emotions that get tapped into the heart that then cause us to have heart attacks and or heart problems. Now, food is also important, right? However, emotion too. Because if you stay in a certain mental state of mind where you're carrying those emotions over and over, and your body's in a constant fight and flight, and you never allow it to just stop and relax so it can heal, then eventually the organ says, wait a minute, hold on, I need to get your attention. So you start getting them light little chest pains and things like that because the body takes note. The body is your temperature. Your body is your human community, your human computer, and it remembers everything that have ever happened to you, and it gives you signs. Pain is one of the signs that it gives you just so that you can pay attention to it because it's giving you other signs throughout it before it becomes into excruciating pain. That's how I tie that into my massage therapy because people will come in with certain pains and they're just like, I just can't get rid of this pain. And then when I help them tap into the emotion connected to that pain, and then we do some healing around that emotion, the pain subsides.
I
So
love
that's
that.
what I mean when I say that we're interconnected and that all of those things matter.
Wow.
So that was just an example
Yeah.
of what
That
that
was
would look
really
like. with just cinnamon. Now, you
Yeah,
know.
and humming. I think that's beautiful. I love what you talked about. You said a lot of really beautiful things. And I was thinking that before pharmaceuticals, our ancestors just knew this, intuitively. And isn't it beautiful how, you spoke about a lot of these herbs and roots, and these are things that grow out the ground. They don't cost money. We don't have to, and you talked about the humming. These are sounds that we make, and so it sounds like the healing that you talk about doesn't have to cost a lot of money,
Mm-mm.
and it's free. And,
Thank you.
if we're listening, to our bodies, we can really tap into it. And so I know
Hmm.
you've got a program, a Melanin Magic program. And so can you tell us a little bit more about it? I like what you talked about, involving all of the elements, the wind, the sun, the water. And that's really beautiful. And I love the organic nature of it, that it came from our ancestors, for thousands and thousands of years. So, they had to have something right. Can you share more about that?
I would love to. And before I get into the melanin magic, I wanted to speak to the ancestors because I think it's very important. And everything I do, I'm intentional of making sure that it's connected to back to where we come from because there's so much power and beauty in that. And, from an ancestral lens, there was always one where they passed on the orators or the orators and the griots, right? The storytellers which were the teachers. And they always made sure through teaching, through song, they pass that down to the younger generation so they can remember, right? Remember the stories, remember the anecdotes, remember the healing and the herbs and the music and the songs so that they would never die. Right. My grandfather used to always say, I will always be alive in you as long as you remember me.
Mm.
Right. And
Mhm.
so, with that being said, our ancestors were masters of the healing, of natural healing. They didn't rely on pharmaceutical industry like we do today. They understood that the earth provided everything that we needed to heal: the herbs, the plants, the roots. They were the medicine. They used garlic for protection, ginger for digestion, turmeric to ease inflammation, and all of these remedies are old as time, rooted in the deep wisdom of survival. And it's important for us to reconnect with these practices because it's our core. Our
Mm.
bodies know how to heal themselves. And when we give them what they need, natural nutrients, I mentioned minerals, and energy, our bodies start to function at our highest capacity. So the Melanin Magic program is basically just returning to that ancient wisdom, not just the physical healing, but also the emotional and spiritual renewal. For example, do any of you remember um, or have experience with your nana, your grandmother, or your aunties that, and I don't maybe dating myself, where they used to have ham and they used to put these little black things in the ham and then put
Cloves.
the
Cloves.
pineapple on
Uh-huh.
top with the little toothpicks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Any of you ever seen that kind of ham? And
Yeah.
you'd be
Yeah.
like, what is that black stuff all over the ham? It looked all very beautiful and decorative, right? Have any of you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
cloves.
Lauren's in there like, I'm not sure. I know Gigi has. Have you,
Yeah.
Gigi?
The cloves. The
Have you,
Yeah.
cloves.
Lauren?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
Yeah.
have.
Okay.
I grew up in
So,
the Midwest. Yes.
okay, hey, that's what I
Yeah.
mean.
Cloves and
So now,
cinnamon and the
Yeah.
uh-huh.
pineapple. Mhm.
So those little black things that was inside the ham were cloves.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Mostly everybody has cloves in their cabinet
I
for
do.
seasoning for that. I have cloves, right? But our ancestors, they didn't, like I said, didn't have no doctors telling them what that is, but they knew innately that the pig basically has no sweat glands. Okay. So all of the parasites and things stays within that meat, right? What your grandmothers and them used to call worms. They didn't say parasites. They said, "Girl, let me take this casserole so we can get them worms out of here." Yeah. So cloves, they put the cloves in the meat so that it can help to kill the parasites because cloves are a natural parasitic uh, cleanser. So they do that, they cook it, so then that way it reduces the worms in the meat that they were cooking for their family. So it wouldn't make them sick,
Wow.
right? We thought it, and yes, of course, for flavor, because cloves have some bomb flavor and all of that. So, it was a combination, but the most thing was we're going to make sure we reduce these worms in this meat because we already know, right? And so that's the healing property of that. So now we go and we spend these expensive amounts to go and do this colon cleansing and that like that. We got cloves in our cabinet that we can take. We can boil them, we can grate them, we can put it in a thing, and we can take them kind of like what they have charcoal for, right? If any of you have ever heard of
Yeah.
charcoal,
Yeah.
right? The natural charcoal, you can blend cloves the same way and you can take it as a spoon, put it in some distilled water, drink it, and it will kill the parasites that's in your colon. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's just an example of our ancestors innately taking these things to use for healing and cooking and flavoring, right? But also making sure that their families are safe. Some of the nutrients in cloves are they're also rich in antioxidants, they're anti inflammatory, digestive help, what I was telling you about killing the parasites, their immune system, right? Because when you kill the parasites, you strengthen your immune system. It's oral health. You could take cloves, make it into a powder, and if you have those gums and getting that gum disease and stuff like that, you can brush your teeth with it, and it can help heal your gums.
Wow.
Okay, instead of getting that expensive stuff and going in there dentist and getting that deep cleaning. Well, you still can get the deep cleaning, but the cloves can also help with your healing of your gums.
Like
Okay, and your
gingivitis.
teeth. There you go. And it is too also helps for blood sugar regulation, and it's rich in essential minerals, just like charcoal. And this is something that's in every last person's cabinet. So for me, Melanin Magic was a transformative wellness journey program that celebrates and heals people of African descent or melanin rich individuals, is rooted in ancestral tradition, and it uses everyday kitchen staples for teaching you how to make foods with them, with different recipes, herbs. And then I connected with some sound therapy and some mindful movement through those sounds, the color, the elements, right? So we know how all of this is interconnected. So it nourishes the body, it awakens the spirit, and it honors our divine heritage. And Melanin Magic is where culture, healing, and self love come together to activate your highest power from the inside out. This is a 7 week program, and each week we go over what those are. So, for instance, week one would be about Cinnamon Symphony, two
Mm.
would be Orchard Oasis, which is lemons. Three would be Basil Bliss. Four would be Ginger Glow. Five would be Turmeric Tranquility. Six would be Garlic Glow. And then week seven, you'll be Peppermint Paradise. And then I put in the bonus of Cloves Concoction and Oregano Oasis. Every
Ooh.
last one of those, how many out of those eight, nine that I said, how many of you have some of those in your kitchen cabinet?
Yeah.
I have all of
Out
them.
of those nine, how many do you have? All I have
All
all
of them.
nine.
Yeah.
All of them. I just don't use them in the way that you were mentioning or probably recommend, but yeah, I have all of them.
Hmm.
Wow.
The access
Well,
is right there.
yeah.
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 When
So it
can we
came to
sign
me as an
up?
idea because my teacher, El Hagan, who is a amazing herbalist, and I want to bring him here to Sacramento, and he will be doing my webinar to introduce this program, just because he's taught me a lot about herbs, and I want to have him come and do a herbal walk with my sisters and brothers to show you how you can walk in a neighborhood and spot certain herbs that are for healing. You
Forage
can
and
spot
frolic.
any, oh, huh?
I said
What's that?
we can forage and frolic.
Yes,
I love the
forage
frolic
and
part.
frolic.
What's
Oh my
frolic?
God. Oh my God. He's amazing. I mean, I learned so much. We was walking in botanical gardens. He was like, "Yeah, you know what this is?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Oh, you can do this, and you can take this for this. So if you got this or you got this ailment, you can use that right there." I'm like, "That just looked like a regular piece of bush." Oh, yeah, right. But if you do this, and I mean, I was just sitting there like in awe, you know. And he's been my herbalist teacher for years, um, and he's just an amazing person. He's gotten me on my journal and my journey in regards to the herbal journey, and has taught me and still teaches me to this day. So he will be a gift that I would bring in my launch for this Melanin Magic.
Oh, I
That
like that.
sounds amazing. That sounds amazing. Um, so after completing the 7-week journey through your Melanin Magic program, what can people expect to experience or see in terms of physical, emotional, and spiritual transformation?
Okay. Well, after completing this particular 7-week journey, people can expect a deep transformation. Physical, they'll feel more energized. Their digestive will improve. Their skin will glow. Their body will feel more aligned. But the benefits go beyond their physical health. Emotionally, they'll experience greater peace, less stress, and a sense of emotional freedom. And spiritually, you'll feel more connected, not just for themselves, but for from their heritage, their ancestors, and their higher purpose. This program doesn't just give you tools for a week or two, it empowers you to create long term, sustainable change in your life. And you'll walk away feeling empowered, whole, connected to your own inner healing wisdom. And the way that I like to teach, I like to be able to show you how to use the tools and then give them to you. Nothing that the Most High has given to me is not just for me myself. So I will give you all of what you need freely, right? And then you just have to use them. And I can be a guide to assist you with that until you create it is like a lifestyle, right? So I believe knowledge is to be shared, not held. And through this particular journey, you'll learn different aspects of not just the food. You'll get recipes that you can cook with. You'll get different types of ways that you can use it. And I've used it with seven. So it'll be 777, right?
Okay.
So you'll learn like seven different foods. I can show you how to make it even when you combine certain herbs, and then get you the nutritional benefits of doing that as well. So you'll learn how to cook with the food, with other type of foods ingested into that makes it even more potent. You'll learn how to take those herbs for healing. You'll learn the sounds, the organs that is strengthened in those particular ones, so that you know that if something is a deficiency is happening in a particular organ, that at least that particular 7 or 9 that I chose on how it can impact and heal that part of your body as well as your mind. And so I'm just excited to get started. I've been having this inside of me, and now I'm finally putting it together so that I can share. Because I talk to a lot of people and we talk about it, and everyone keeps saying the same thing. Well, Yolanda, you need to teach it on this, da da da. And I was like, no, I'll just give it to you. And so it's been saying it over and over and over again. And my grandfather always say the truth come in threes, and I've heard it more than 3 times.
The
So
ancestors
I'm
are
going to do
talking
something
to you.
about it.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, we cannot wait until it's available. Yolanda, I love the fact that you're talking about things that we can curate from our kitchen cabinets.
Hmm.
And you're also talking about sharing some knowledge that our ancestors knew that maybe we forgot, didn't, or never knew ever. And so this gives us an opportunity to tap, into our inner knowing and our inner wisdom. And so um, before we close and I leave people with this next question, um, lovely Lauren, can you share with me, how people can get in touch with you and what products and services you offer?
Thank you, Gigi. I am currently building a program to do behavior plans for adults. And it basically looks like us understanding our deficits and our excesses and being able to put in place a plan that sets us up for success with building skill sets and routines and beliefs that serve our highest and greatest good and get us to the goals that we want to reach. I also provide sound healing and Reiki and card readings. So please reach out to me, excuse me, at Lauren Keeler at tappingwithdrgigi.com. And you can also find me on CFP's website, upcoming website. And yeah, I look forward to hearing from you and sharing more as things develop. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you for sharing that. I'd like to share about the color connection. I'm going to share the graphic right now.
I'm excited about this.
I
Yay.
am too. I am too.
We're a week away.
Oh, I'm
Yes.
excited about that too.
Yes, yes. So we have the color connection. We meet May the 3rd.
It's a Saturday.
It's a Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Zoom. And we talk
Mm,
about issues that impact melanated women. So it's for
mm,
melanated women, by melanated women. The first couple of conversations, this is going to be our second podcast. But what I was really impressed with is the number of African American women, that are coming and having these conversations. So a lot of these conversations are really about African American women and how we can heal. It's about healing. Now, this topic on May 3rd is going to be even more special because it's about how we, as African American people, men and women, still have a whole lot of unworthiness going on at the group consciousness level. And that shows up. It shows up in our health, in our wealth, in our relationships. We still feel very subordinate, to the dominant class. And again, it just shows up all over the place. So not only are we going to talk about what this unworthiness looks like, we'll talk about how it happened. We're going to have a conversation with Dr. Joy DeGruy as she really, unpeels the layers about the impacts of slavery. And we're still impacted by it. It happened for 400 years, but we didn't have 400 years of healing. One psychologist said, in her treatment of people with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, you need 1 day of healing for every 1 day of trauma that you've suffered. And so we as a people have not had our healing. We still haven't. We're still, trying to tell people that we are worthy and we want our rights and all of that stuff. But it needs to start in our mindset. So the color connection, we're gonna start having those conversations, really unpeeling the onion layer, so that we can be better together. And I'd also like to share my book, Boundary Badass. Now, this book is for women mostly, but anybody that has guilt for saying no. Now, no is a complete sentence, and this book will teach you how to say no without feeling guilty. And for me, that has taken a long, 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 long time to do. And so it's only $33.33, so you can get your copy today. It's an ebook, and I think that is all I wanted to share. But I want to leave everyone with this question. Yolanda spent a lot of time talking about, roots and, our ancestors, what we've been doing. I love, what Lauren had been talking about as well. But I want to leave you with this. What if the healing we've been searching for in our bodies, in our emotions, and in our spirit, What if it's been flowing through our bloodlines all along? What if reconnecting to our roots, our melanin, and the natural gifts of the earth, is the key to unlocking the power we were already born with? And if
Mm-hmm.
that's the case, what does that mean for your life today? So I'd like
Mm.
to leave you with that thought. But Yolanda, I'd love to hear your thoughts, and certainly, Lauren, I'd love you to share yours as well.
Oh, I think it is exactly what you stated when I talk about melanin, and when you have said, made a statement about for us to remember, or maybe we didn't know, having melanin in our DNA is a marker that once we do tap into it, we know because it's within us. But we have always been taught to look outside of us, or look up, to a power to believe outside of us, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I do believe in God, so I'm not coming from an atheist mindset, for those who may take that or that might land a certain way. But what I am saying, the key is inside. Okay. Even when you're talking to God, Allah, Jesus, whoever it is you believe in order for you to tap in, you got to do what? Be still and go inside, right? So it's no different than anything else. And in order for us to remember, we have to tap in and go inside. And when people say the key is already in you, everything you need is already inside of you, it is true because it's in our DNA. And we have so many distractions now that everything we do is outside of us. So then when we finally come here, once our to-do list comes out of our brain and we can actually sit and go still, either we go to sleep from exhaustion and we're not asking ourselves those questions. What is it that you want me to do? What is it that you want me to know? Right? And if we ask those questions, now we got to be still enough to hear the answer and then trust that it is so when the answer is revealed to you. Don't second guess it. First mind is always the right mind. Okay. So everything of what you're talking about, what if it is
Mm,
within us.
thank you.
Yes, what Sister Yolanda said is basically how I feel about it. I know that we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. And despite all of the things put in this world to take us away from our roots, take us away from what we know is ours, which is the earth, which is our history, which is our community, no matter what, like we can always tap in because it is within. The key is there. And so I'm grateful for these kind of spaces, these kind of conversations, because it reminds us all that is available to us for free because it's within us. It's within us.
Yeah.
And we just need more spaces like this, more conversations. We really need to let our youth know, our future generations. We're the ancestors that have to speak into them and pass this
Yes.
information down and down so they never forget, despite how
Mhm.
the world changes, how it tries to tell us different things that don't serve us, that harm us, that make us sick, that kill us, the foods, the technology, the programming, all of that type of thing. But we are innately special. And so yeah, it's not a what if, it's a fact. It is here, it is within us.
Well,
Mhm.
thank you, lovely Lauren. Thank you, Yolanda, for just exposing us to that wealth of genius, that wealth of magic that we already have within us,
Mhm.
especially if you're melanated. So thank you,
That
thank you,
part.
thank you. We're excited about your program when it launches. I'm looking forward to that myself. And thank you, listeners, those listening live, those that are going to listen to the replay. You can click the link below to get in touch with lovely Lauren, Yolanda, or myself. We would love to hear from you. Thank you and be well.
Thank
Yes. And I
you.
just wanted to say if you did want more information and sign up for future, I will be Gigi will have it on her platform. And you can also go to www.mhtheals.com. And that's where I do my rehabilitation and pain management through massage therapy and health education as well.
Thank
Go
you.
to the contact page and then put your information in, and then we'll put you on the list. So when this soft launch happens, you'll be able to be first there to experience it.
Yeah, we'd love that. We'd love that.
Yes.
Well, thank you all. Have a lovely Sunday and be well.
Be well.
Be well. Peace.
Peace.